Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome you back to another episode of our Planet Zoo franchise mode Let's Play. We're diving right back into Elite Zoo South. It has been a long time coming, and I am very excited to be back at it. I do apologize for the delay, but this last week, honestly, the entirety of March is going to be an absolutely wild month for me. But I just needed a little bit of time to course correct, and we are back on schedule now, folks. I, again, and as always, would like to thank you for your patience. I greatly appreciate it. It makes it, I'll be fully transparent. I like being transparent with all of y'all. It makes it so much easier to maintain motivation when all of y'all are positive about, you know, kind of understanding when there has to be a pause or a break. I really appreciate it. Honestly, words cannot express well enough how much I appreciate that kind of support. And again, because of it, we're able to, you know, come back and after a break, bring that momentum right back, resume schedule, and just kind of, you know, push forward and continue to accomplish and continue to grow our zoos. So again, thank you. It really does mean a lot. I don't want to belabor the point, but I appreciate it greatly. But on the topic of kind of barreling forward and retaining momentum, there's a lot to get done today. I'm very excited for today's session. I'm nervously excited for today's session. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to be working on something that I've been talking about for a very long time, that I mentioned a lot last session as well. So I'm very excited for it because I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of kind of exploration, I suppose. What I'm nervous about is I don't know if the game has the parts necessary to execute what I've seen exactly how I envision it. That always kind of makes me a little I think nervous is the right word, where I'm just like, you know, you've got these dreams and you wanna realize them, but sometimes it just doesn't work out because the parts aren't there, or the parts don't work how like I remember them to, or what have you. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to waste time with a prolonged introduction. I just want to mention, folks, again, and as always, if you are enjoying the show, if you would like to see it continue, please do not hesitate to keep letting me know. Leave a like, leave a comment. It does make a very big difference in how I approach the content on the channel, what I do more or less of, how I go about doing it, and of course, and again, and as always, I do read all the comments as well, and I was reading through the comments of the previous session with extremely what's the turn of phrase? Extreme prejudice? Is that the word I'm looking for? Basically, I was paying a lot of attention, especially to the conversation about prehistoric kingdom. That was a question we threw out last time. I saw the polling. I saw all the opinions that were shared. Again, I love that we can kind of like talk about that kind of stuff candidly and openly. Got a lot of great opinions and thoughts, so thank you very much for that. I definitely have some plans in mind with regards to balancing Planet Zoo and Prehistoric Kingdom when it comes out. Not exactly, what's going on over here? Not exactly 100%, you know, set in stone, as if you're familiar with the channel, you know what I say about that. But I do have some plans now, and those plans now I can say that they're, you know, informed by your opinions, and of course that matters, because, you know, if it wasn't for all of y'all, we wouldn't be doing we wouldn't be doing what we're doing, right? I think we're basically ready to dive into our time lapse. There's not much else to say. There's not much. There's a fair bit of management stuff to do, but I don't think we need to do it right off the bat. I think we're able to dive into our time lapse right off the bat. I'm just checking my notes here really quickly, making sure I kind of touched on everything. Now, I will say I wasn't able to do a second read-through of the comments last session, and I apologize for that. Though I did read all the comments, like I say, I read them twice over, right? The first time when they come through, and the second time when I'm kind of like taking notes and stuff like that. But I was able to, again, read through all the comments once. I wasn't able to respond to all of you, so I do apologize for that. However, I do want to touch on as well, the reason why I remembered, what we're doing today is this time lapse over here. It's going to focus on this area. Again, I threw the question out there. Do we want to see a beauty pass? Do we want to see a lighting pass? Do we want to see, you know, what do we want to see? Do we want to see a new animal? And much to my surprise, actually, it feels like quite a few of you would rather see a bit more work done to some of these stations before we move on and add some new animals. So what I'm thinking is today, yeah, there's the project over here, and maybe I'd be better off kind of finishing this off first, because it's only like finishing touches we need. But honestly, as much as that's the case, I'm really quite excited to share what I have planned over here, and I'm also excited to experiment with the pieces and see if they'll work how I need them to work to execute what I have planned over here. So this is what the time lapse today is going to be about. And if we finish early over here, or if we get to a good middle point where I feel comfortable, leaving it for later or something like that, I don't know if that would happen. Then, or if I start feeling tired and it's just not working out, I might come back over here and just figure out a rooftop plan over here. I gotta do something. It's just the rooftop that I want to figure out. I really like how this is looking overall, but something about this, it's a little too open. It's a little too open. We'll figure it out. Anyway, sorry folks. It is time for a time lapse. So without any more time wasted, let's dive on in, folks. It's time lapse time. All right, folks, I am thoroughly excited to share the results of this time lapse with you. It has been a very ridiculously long time coming, and it's finally here. I'm gonna let you know right off the bat, even though today's time lapse is longer than the typical time lapse, even though I was working on this space longer than I typically spend in one session in time lapse mode, we are not able to complete this in one sitting. It's quite the undertaking. I had a feeling it was going to be. Even, before we dove into this time lapse, I was talking about, yeah, if there's time left, we'll deal with this other thing as well. Like, in the back of my head, I knew that there wasn't going to be any time left. But with that said, like I said, we do go on for longer than usual with this time lapse, and so we are able to accomplish more than we otherwise would have been able to. And I'm very pleased to say that the end result from today's time lapse is, in my opinion at least, very indicative of where this is going, and it does get us to a certain stage of completion, if you will, sort of a campsite, if you will, which I guess might help segue into me describing exactly what I'm doing here. Part of the reason, by the way, why it was so slow going during the time lapse is you can see me fiddling and fidgeting right now, is because I'm doing stuff that I've not ever really done before. I've done stuff adjacent to this, but nothing really quite like this. We're trying to like build fabric-related materials and fabric-related structures. So, again, pieces that I'm not super familiar with or in tune with. So there's a lot of fiddling and fidgeting and going back and forth, and you'll see a fair bit of that during the time lapse. But set that aside. Now, as I've said a few times, I'm really excited for this space. I've been doing a lot of research with regards to this space. I had a lot of ideas over the last, few months now with regards to this space. I felt like it was a pretty important space to do right. It's one of the major entrances and whatnot, and it's kind of a transit hub. It's a very cool space. It's one of the first things, it's among the first things you'll see when you enter the zoo. So I wanted to make sure I did it justice. Obviously, I try to do everything justice, but you know what I mean. This is one of those one of those spaces that just stands out, I guess, or I felt should stand out. But I was doing a lot of research and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to pull inspiration from, what I wanted to look at as a reference, what I wanted to think about or feel, or what I wanted to evoke through the structure over here. Hours of research. I don't know the cumulative hour count of this project, and it's kind of funny because it's not just about the audio visual, right? It's not just about when I record the footage or the time lapse voiceover afterwards. It's all the research that's got into it. I kind of wish I'd tracked myself, because this might actually be the most time I spent hating ideas and getting new ones until I finally settled on one. Anyway, I'm just really excited to share the process. I had a lot of fun with this one, even though... okay, let's get to it. So, when I think about... Personally, and maybe some of you agree, maybe some of you disagree, but when I think about Africa, and when I think about the geography of Africa, especially as it pertains to lions, I think about the Serengeti. When I think about Africa as a whole, the first thing that comes to mind is the Sahara. Shortly after that, Serengeti. And that's a semi-truth. I think about my time in Morocco, but that's personal at a different kind of different level. Those are the first things, the first kind of ideas, I guess, or thoughts that come to mind when I think about the geography of Africa. Just like, you know, as like a first instinct. Not if I think deeply upon it, just like a first instinct. And again, like I was saying earlier, combining that with the whole lion aspect of it, again, the Serengeti kind of made sense. And what I liked about that as well was there was a bit of a challenge there. Plains tend to be a little plain. And so where are we going to draw our inspiration from? What are we going to do? I mean, this isn't, we're not building it's not an enclosure that we can, you know, just do the terrain and add the right trees and maybe a rock formation or something. We can't, it's not that. You can't just put down a watering hole and call it a day. So, you know, what are we looking at for inspiration? I came across some absolutely fantastic lodges. Did not know these were a thing. And I came across a variety of, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, where it was just like I came across an idea, I liked it, I hated it, I moved on, new idea, fall in love, fall out of love, fall into loathing, and then move on to a new idea. You know, like that was a huge part of the process. But I came across these lodges, and they were absolutely beautiful. Now, the one that I'm using as a primary source of inspiration is, it must be like a 5-star resort or something. I did not know these were a thing, so that's part of the reason I was so excited to like delve into it as well. But it had like a swimming pool, and it was wild. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The structure, the core central structure, were these really beautiful, like giant tents almost. Now, I can't remember now off the top of my head, but if memory serves me right, they might have actually been fabric sort of tensed over some structural support. This is it's commonly, well, not, I shouldn't say commonly, but fabric is perhaps surprisingly used very often in architecture, in massive buildings too. I believe the Burj Al Arab, for example, has the front of it is all like tensed fabric. Anyway, it looks like tensed fabric, but not only does it look like tensed fabric from like a structural perspective, giving it strength and giving it durability, it looks a lot like tents, which are, yes, also made of fabric, but again, the tensing of the fabric gives it some durability and whatnot. So this 5-star looking resort thing looks like a bunch of tents, absolutely beautiful in how the fabric is kind of stretched out and super smooth, and has like these shapes, these like, you know, peaks and valleys, and it's just absolutely beautiful. But what I love most about it, I think, is that it not just in form, but in color, stood out from its surroundings, and it kind of embraced the standing out from its surroundings. Like, that was a part of its identity. And I was like, all right, that's not only is this, like, from a, again, form factor, absolutely gorgeous to look at, but it's also completely unexpected for me personally. Again, completely unexpected. Did not expect to see something like this. And it's also interesting from this color perspective, and it's also interesting from a challenge perspective to create in Planet Zoo. So there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to try and pull that inspiration. Beyond that as well, it made me think a lot about desert cultures, perhaps a little ironically. A lot of the times, desert cultures around the world, and I shouldn't just say desert cultures, it applies, I think, to tundra cultures as well, but I'm not 100% certain, so don't quote me. That's why I'm saying specifically desert cultures, because I've seen it more as a pattern in desert cultures. Bright colors feature often. in food and clothes, in architecture. You know, whether it's a tent or it's a building, it tends to have vibrant colors, and it was explained to me. I'm going back to like middle school now or something. It was explained to me as like a way of breaking the monotony of the region. And when I saw this resort, that's what came to mind. It was just like, I can almost picture. Now again, the Serengeti, beautiful space, don't get me wrong, absolutely beautiful space. But perhaps there's that monotony that this structure looked to break. And I don't know, that struck a chord with me. And I was like, can we break the earthy tones, you know, our monotony over here? Can we break those earthy tones, the largely browns, oranges, reds? There's a little bit of green, but even the greens are, you know, they're muted greens. They're not like super bright, you know, neon greens or anything. So can we do something to bring this area, which is largely, you know, natural and largely earth tones, can we do something to break that and to stand out and to juxtapose against? And right now, I know it looks like chaos. It looks like an utter mess, but we're getting there. We're getting there. You can imagine my heart rate as I was building this, and I was like, oh god, this is looking terrible. I hope this comes together. But slowly, it starts coming together. And again, you can see I'm just like experimenting with shapes and forms like we've never done before. Experimenting with height as well. Like I wanted this thing to stand out from a distance, but not be overpowering. I wanted it to have a sleek form, but also maybe have a bit of a peak of its own. There was so many thoughts going through my head with regards to how this might work best, or how this might look best. But the other element, sorry, I feel like I'm a little maybe all over the place. That's what happens when you get excited about something. You end up a little all over the place when you're like talking about it. You're just like feel like a child being like, oh man, and then this, and then that, and then this, and then that. You get so excited, right? But the other thing, the I guess last element, dare I say, as far as the structure is concerned, it was not just the inspiration of like these tents, not just the inspiration of this whole idea of breaking the monotony of this region, which again, I just want to clarify, I don't know if that's a thing among what I'm saying, again, air quotes here, what I'm calling plains cultures, where it's like, I don't know if this resort and its stylings were inspired by anything particularly local, or if it was just kind of like a statement piece of its own, right? But yeah, I thought it'd be an interesting thing to try and integrate. Now, the last thing, which you can now see coming together, the last thing that I wanted to try and challenge myself with was, this is where I think the title of the episode is gonna come from, is making the eye of the lion be the gap that floats above this entire structure. And you can see, like, having to use parallax as a tool, you can see having to fight against parallax as a foe, and just trying to get the angles right from up on high, and from, you know, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right as well. You'll see every once in a while I go and check my references to try and get that eye shape. But not just the eye, but like the little marking around the eye. Like, you know how it kind of goes down the nose a little bit? I wanted to reference that as well, because otherwise it's just kind of like it's an eye shape. And I mean, it's still challenging to do, but for me, that little piece, and I know you can't see me right now, but I'm like pointing at my face and pointing at the part that goes down the side of the nose. But that element on the lion's face kind of stands out to me, and you saw every once in a while I was kind of going back to reference it to make sure I kind of like had it right in my head. And obviously I'm not going for like 100% accuracy over here. This is an abstraction, but I thought that made it kind of feel a little different, in a hopefully good way. And then I decided, you know what, let's start doing some of the structural integrity stuff as well. We're just going to end up with a bunch of floating floating pieces of fabric today. Let's at least get some of the wooden pieces in here as well, so there's a bit of a communication about what kind of overall aesthetic we can expect over here. But yes, I do need to build the support structure still. I need to make it all kind of stand. I need to make, you know, I need to attach it to the ground. There's still quite a bit to do, because this all takes a fair bit of, like, yeah, finicky adjustment and tweaking, and a lot of it, because it's so abstract, a lot of it had to do with, like, putting something down, stepping away, not physically stepping away, but, like, zooming out, looking at it and going, yeah, I like that, or no, I hate that, and then kind of doing that cycle I was talking about earlier as well, you know, liking something, quickly turning to hate it, falling in love, falling out of love, falling into loathing, and then hopefully, eventually, falling out of loathing or coming up with a new idea. It's all come together pretty nicely, though. I do make some adjustments after the time lapse as well when I start to realize, yeah, this could be a little bit like this, a little bit like that. And I'm sure when I come back with fresh eyes, the next time we come back here, I'm probably going to make a couple of small adjustments to certain aspects of it as well. But I think the underlying structure will really tie everything together when we try to attach it to the station itself, and when we try to, like, decorate the stuff at the ground level as well and try to get it to match what's happening up top over here. That's going to be an interesting challenge too, but that's like kind of like part 2 of this challenge, I suppose. Part 1 is just getting all this roofing stuff, trying to make these things, trying to make the fabric look like we're doing, you know, peaks and valleys and whatnot. But it's come along. I think it's come along pretty well. Also, I like the piece in particular that's like at the entrance and exit, if you were like the vehicle itself. Where, like, on either side, it kind of like it curves up, and then in the middle, there's like that flat section. I like that piece a lot. It feels like that tension is there. It was kind of fun, actually, trying to make this happen. Is it perfect? Nah, nothing's perfect though. But I'm pretty pleased with how it's all come together. I'm sure I'll be thinking about this a lot more, you know, between now and the next session. And I'm curious to hear, you know, your thoughts, not just on the on what you see today, but on what you think we should do with our next time lapse. More on that after the time lapse, though. I do talk about it in sort of real time and regular speed. But with that and on that note, I will call it an end to this time lapse, and yeah, we will go back to regular speed. All right, folks, we are back from the time lapse, and it was a long one. It was longer than usual, and I still wasn't able to accomplish everything I wanted to. But I don't think any of us are surprised about that. I'm not surprised. I knew this was going to be a huge undertaking, and I mean, at first it really wasn't working how I wanted it to work. It still needs a fair bit of finessing here and there to get the pieces that are here working the way I have it in mind, but I am closer now than I was at the beginning of this time lapse. I've got some pretty grand ideas. I'm sure I touched on, like, everything that's going on over here during the time lapse. I'm really quite pleased with how it's kind of come together. Actually, it's you know what, I'm gonna be honest, it's come together a lot better than I expected. You're not, oh, of course you are, as I was saying, it's come together, sorry, a lot better than I expected. I expect this to be a lot more unforgiving. Now I know right now it might look a little messy, and it might be like, oh my god, what were you thinking, / what are you thinking, this needs to go. And yes, it is a little chaotic right now, but when it all starts reaching its kind of finishing point, it'll all be a little bit lower, I think. We'll see how it kind of like fits. It'll all be a little bit lower. There will be support structures and stuff as well. And then on the interior, we'll be having some decorative elements as well that'll make it all, I think, work a fair bit better. At least I hope so. I'm quite liking how it's looking, though, especially from up top over here. It creates this very bright spot. It creates this sort of a vibrant, sort of contrasted element, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say, with its kind of bright, almost artificial whiteness, where otherwise there's mostly kind of earthy tones. So there's a lot of stuff going on over here. And I'm sure I touched on a lot of this stuff during the time lapse. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but like I said, I did a lot of research. I did a lot of digging, and I did a lot of visual research as well. And I'm really excited to again share this as it kind of gets closer and closer to completion. I do wish I had like more. I think I'm gonna rotate this. I wish I had like more time. Obviously, I always wish I have more time. Honestly, 24 hours in a day is not enough to accomplish all the things I want to accomplish. We'll probably be coming back to this sooner rather than later. I would love to hear your thoughts on, like, do you want us to come back to this next time, or would you rather we add a new animal next time? Again, I'm trying to balance, everyone's desires and expectations. As you can imagine, it is difficult. I get mixed opinions all the times, and of course that's to be expected. There's so many of y'all watching. There's so many different wants and hopes and dreams. So I do try to bounce around a little bit and take care of multiple things as much as possible. I was really hoping to get this done, but I think realistically it wasn't going to happen. Though we can maybe get a new enclosure done in 2 sessions. This will take definitely at least one more session. And one thing I was actually toying with the idea of was doing sessions that were primarily time-lapse as opposed to a blend of management. Like, how sometimes we have management sessions and they're just management for like an hour straight. It's all the work that needs to be done, all the animal management, all the checking inbreeding and stuff like that. I was thinking, what if we also pair that off with like just a time-lapse session where the episode as a whole would be a bit shorter, but the time spent time-lapsing would be longer than usual. So net time from a production side of things would be relatively similar, but the episodes would be shorter. I don't know. I'm throwing some ideas out there, but something like that would have. I was kind of tempted to do that today. I would make a lot more progress over here, I guess. Though that time lapse was already longer than normal, so I don't think we'd be closer to done. Anyway, sorry. Again, I keep trying to pull away from it, but I keep wanting to talk about it. That's my bad. Let's go ahead and unpause. Let's let the zoo unleash itself upon us with all the notifications and warnings and issues that it may or may not have. We're definitely gonna have Abayomi. You are female. Okay, cool. I wonder if we're gonna see some. Actually, I should have checked if we're gonna have inbreeding and stuff. Well, the easiest way to check is to do this. I do know that we have some potential issues among some animals. So, Abayomi, gotta put you on contraceptives. Sada, you already are. You are as well. You're fine. Getting kind of old and a recent birth too. This would be inbreeding. Man, those are some really solid stats. This is also inbreeding. This is also inbreeding. So the thing is, Atuanya, and I feel like we've talked about this in the past as well, but Atuanya has been fantastic. Look at these stats. These are ridiculous stats. So I do want to keep him around until he passes, and then we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a new male lion. When that new male lion does come, they will hopefully primarily maybe mate with Olubayo, because the potential here as far as stats are concerned would be great. Again, we have to ignore, we should ignore this because this is the result of inbreeding, but the potential here is fantastic. And Olubayo is still, of age, and hopefully she will remain of age, of I guess, cub-bearing age is the term I'm looking for. But hopefully she'll stay there when Atuanya eventually passes away. I have such a hard time sending animals off. It is so difficult for me, especially when they're not like infertile as well, and I can't rehome them. I have to release them to the wild. It's just it's not easy. It is not easy. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit play. I believe we have some potential. Look at that right off. Immediately we have this notification. It's not as a result of what's the word I'm looking for? Inbreeding or anything, but it's still funny that a notification would come up immediately. Who among you are compatible here? What's going on? Nochoatl, you gotta stay, and either of the females can stay. Alright, cool. So Tenok must go. Tenok must go. Ah, that's unfortunate. Alright, let's send both these back. Oh, that's not what I meant. Let's send both of you to the trade center. Yeah. At least they'll be happy in their last couple of days for at least the male over here. Fair enough. Cool. What else have we got? Let's go ahead and say hi to a couple of these VIPs. Again, kind of got out of the habit of doing that, but then it was brought up at this point several sessions ago. It was brought up and I realized, it's like, you know what? Might not be a bunch of conservation credits every time we do this, but it is every little bit counts, because between, you know, collecting conservation credits by waving at people and acquiring a new animal, there's enough of a gap that, you know, it could add up. We're about to lose our jaguar over here. This is gonna be sad. Losing our jaguars is gonna be sad. They've been so good to us. You eating, or you were eating? There we go. Always kind of sad. Nice to try and be there though. What else we got? Actually, on the topic of conservation credits, I did want to touch on the community challenge that's going on right now. It's called Anti. However, it has nothing to do with anteaters, which I feel like is a missed opportunity. I understand that aardvarks are incredible animals, and I understand that they have long, sticky tongues to slurp up ants and termites. But, if I'm not mistaken, anteaters also eat ants. So I kind of wish this was for both aardvarks as well as giant anteaters, but I mean, whatever, it's fine. It's not. I would have participated if it was. We don't have aardvarks. We're not going to be getting aardvarks soon. We'll get them eventually, obviously, but we're not going to get them anytime soon. So unfortunately, a bit of a missed opportunity over here. Those are some fairly back-to-back challenges, though, which is nice to see. Over here. I'm guessing we gotta send you off, right? Because there's too many males in here, I imagine. What do we got? We got a bunch of elderly and infertile females. Okay, thirsty. Okay, we got Koa, and shouldn't... Let me check something over here. My Zoopedia. My kangaroos. 1 male, 9 females. So, yeah, I should have to get rid of Umbara and Koa, I think. Let me check over here. I mean, Mini Gululu? Let me check your inbreeding situation. And a lot of these kangaroos are not able to reproduce. Let's go ahead and put Adina on contraceptives. Everybody else is fine. So let's go ahead and... Hey, buddy. That's okay. Go ahead and get all the other males away. I'm surprised they haven't already started fighting. Koa and you over to the trade center. A lot of thirsty kangaroos, and I'm not sure what's going on about that. Not sure why. They're able to get to the water still. Yeah, okay. If you're thirsty, why not go drink? Logic dictates, right? If you're thirsty, you would drink. Guess not right now, at least. I don't know, this happens from time to time. I should also come back down over here and check what our pricing is looking like. Guests are really hot when they come in. There's like... Okay, I guess I could put the cooling down in here as well. Not. Sure, I can put it down there. I can't go all the way out here. I don't know, the first thing they do is they come in and they complain about the heat. It's just like, well, I don't do much about that. But hopefully this will help. These are like right next to each other, but again, hopefully they'll help. Problem is they come in hot. Price is fair. I'm seeing a lot of ticket prices fair. Epic Zoo. Gonna bring back some more friends. Sounds good to me. Not impressed by the view of the llama. Well, you're not looking well enough then. Wish I could have stayed longer. That's entirely your decision. Ticket price is fair. Ticket price is fair. Yeah, it looks like... It's weird. We haven't increased our ticket price in forever, I feel like. Like, we changed the children's ticket price relatively recently. But other than that, the adult price we have not changed in a very, very long time. And it's kind of weird, because we've added a bunch of animals between then and now. We've added a bunch of animals. Like, I believe this entire section... Actually, this entire section up over here didn't exist the last time we adjusted pricing. I believe we might not even have had these guys. Definitely didn't have these guys. right? And I don't think we even had the lemurs and stuff. So it's kind of wild to me. Maybe we had the lemurs when we last increased the prices, but even just these animals alone, that's a lot of animals we've added without getting any price hike. Man, you know what? I'm actually quite pleased with this. There's a couple of things that need adjusting, but overall, as I was kind of like scrolling by, I was like, yo, that actually it feels the way I wanted it to feel. Especially now that the sun's up and it's like full, vibrant, bright white. Gotta like adjust some of the shapes, some of the edges, and some of the forms we get, but overall, yeah. Alright, let's get them. We might need to like stick them out a bit more. It's a balancing act, obviously, trying to figure out what looks good from which angles and which angles matter most as far as building one of these kinds of decorative elements is concerned. Come on now. Yeah, I want it to like stick out a bit more. Might need to change the shape a bit so it's like it kind of sticks out there. You know what I mean? Like make it so that it's like I'm not gonna do it right now, obviously. Getting these curves and stuff right is it's an endeavor. Like this kind of a thing. Yeah, if I can get it to look like that, I think it would be, yeah, that's what I need. That's what I need. Did that actually, you know what, that worked pretty well. That worked. That worked well enough that I can keep it like this and I don't have to undo it. Alright, let's just go ahead and adjust these then. And I'll probably come in and refine it next time, or whenever we come back over here, I'll come through and refine how that looks. Up you down, there we go. Let's get you over here. Cool. Eggs is, it's a little messy. Why don't we come in over here and see the problem is like it's not just the top view we have to worry about, we have to worry about the bottom view, but that looks fine as well. Works well enough. Cool. I mean, I guess I don't really have to worry about the bottom view. I just like to. I like to think about the guest's view and experience as well, obviously. Alright, pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's coming together. What's the deal over here? Vending machine. All the mechanic. Alright, sweet. Apart from that, guests are doing okay. I think guests are overall pretty happy. I mean, we've kind of... Part of the reason why I was floating the idea of, like, doing every once in a while a time-lapse only session is because, from a management perspective, we've kind of reached that that tipping point where, like, okay, the guests are basically all as happy as they can be or need to be. And I say that because, you know, from time to time, you're obviously going to get unhappy guests, and it's like, oh, what are you going to do about that? Like, they took a wrong turn, or I'm being facetious with that one, but like a lot of the time it's just like, you know, oh, they didn't like the view. Well, what am I going to do about that? We're not going to just make little boxes for them to look into, all right? So so apart from that, though, I think guests are pretty well pleased. I think they're pretty happy. In fact, I'm actually surprised that there's not more red. A lot of this is actually green when we look at guest happiness, so that's great. There's a couple of red spots, a few yellow spots, but really by and large, everyone's pretty pleased. The animals are all happy, apart from, you know, obviously when like inbreeding and stuff comes up, we're pretty good. Come on. No, come on. There we go. So that's all good, but of course that's only when time is moving forward, and that's a whole different, you know, matter altogether. So a lot of time kind of feels like, unless we're adding a new animal, or unless we're going in for a management session where all of the boxes need to be checked and I can have my head in the right space for that, it often feels like I'm waiting on notifications to pop up so that I can kind of be like, okay, let's bounce from thing to thing. Things have started, like, overall, ooh, hello. Overall, we've come to a point where things are working very well, working very smoothly, and that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. But obviously, when you don't have management and time-lapse mixed, you can potentially miss things like this. Sometimes it's nice to just like go around with the animals as well, even if we're not particularly doing anything or chasing any objectives, self-made or otherwise. It's just nice to kind of like go around and chill with the animals after a time-lapse, or before a time-lapse. After all, that is part of what this game is about. Going to the rubbing pillar over here. Good stuff. Very interesting. coat you have here? Pale gold and white stripes. Amelanistic. Crazy. Never seen this. Didn't know it was a thing. I figured there was a variant, obviously, but I didn't know how it looked. I do wonder how zebras feel about this. Like, how do other zebras respond to, like, do they understand that it is a natural occurrence? You know, a mutation, perhaps, like a genetic mutation, perhaps, but it is a natural occurrence. Do they understand that? Does it terrify them? I don't know. It raises some questions. Like, now I don't know in the case of zebras specifically, so bear with me here while I kind of draw some examples that may not be entirely accurate, but I'm trying to get the question out there. You know, I suspect, I imagine, for many reasons, being amelanistic is not an ideal genetic mutation for zebras. For example, they, I think, become a lot easier to spot. I imagine it comes with other potential, like, problems as well, like health issues, potentially. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the topic at hand. But I suspect it is a negative genetic kind of trait for zebras. If that's the case, would it be ideal for... hey, buddy, how do you walk through glass? Would it be ideal for zebras to actually ostracize the outlier here? To shun them and to intentionally ensure they're not welcome? Because that way you get that undesirable genetic mutation out of the gene pool, right? Whereas if you just treat them like a regular zebra and they have every chance at procreation and everything, then you risk keeping that undesirable trait in the population. Do zebras even think about? I mean, obviously they don't. I mean, not obviously, but like I suspect not. I suspect it's not a big deal. But it's weird to think about because, like, zebras, if I recall correctly, zebras identify each other by their stripes, right? Each zebra's stripes are unique, and you can identify them, and they identify each other by their stripes. So, you know, that's obviously a clear, like marker, right? Like, imagine we identify each other by, let's say, names, by a lot of things, but let's use names for example. And let's say you come across somebody who has no name, and they're like, you know, I don't know, 30 years old or something, they're 40 years old, and they just have no name. Like, oh, what do I call you? And they go like, what do you mean, what do you call me? Right? Like, it's weird. We would remark on that. Do zebras remark on not being able to... we'd remark on somebody not having a name, but they would also... That would be their identifier. I don't know. I'm going on a wild tangent here, but I've got so many questions about these kinds of quote-unquote negative traits. Again, I don't know what other health implications come with it, but these kinds of, like, negative traits and how animals deal with them. Obviously, a big part of it is just natural... well, natural selection. I mean, if you're prone to disease, then you will... I always forget where this button is. If you're prone to disease, then you're more likely to die off before you procreate. You're less likely to win, you know, mating contests and things like that. You're less likely to be the alpha, depending on the animal, right? Like, there's other checks and balances, as it were, if you are if it's a problem. But how does something like being amelanistic apply? Like, what happens there? And more so than that, I guess I'm asking about the social aspect. Which, I don't know, might sound funny, but obviously many animals are social creatures. And is there an impact? Are there behavioral changes? I feel like there's somebody out there with an answer to this question in the comments. Oh, we got a baby. We gotta, look, man, you can't just not check out a baby bear's taper. Look how cute they are. They're just so cute. Yeah, that was scary. The eye turning around and that, like, pinkish color was not what I was expecting. They are really cute. But I came here to look at the stressed anteater we have. So stressed out. Ooh. A lot of females here. What is going on? What is going on? So, Diane needs to go away. Diane needs to go away. It is so dark around these parts, actually. I think it doesn't help that I got the flashlight on. Diane. Where are you? There you are. Or on contraceptives, but too many females. Yeah, let's release her. Why not? Yeah, let's do it. Done. This is where somebody points out that I had plans to keep her around, but too late now. Too late now. And one more thing I want to check actually really quickly, being here reminds me. Gotta love the lighting in this area. Something about this spot that's very nicely lit. I'm quite pleased with it. But I wanted to check zoo, animals. Right, I want to check their food. Pointed out to me that, yeah, some folks are still only getting grade 2 food, so we can fix that. The cassowaries and our otters are getting grade 3 food now. Everybody else, I believe, is already on grade 3 food. Yeah, excellent. Again, it'll up our costs a little bit, but it's not a problem. You know, I'm pleased with most of the lighting, actually. Oh, look how this place looks when it's like twilight. Oh, yo, yes, I am pleased. The funny thing is, what I was actually going to say originally was, the lighting has kind of grown on me in this area. It's still not perfect. Still some of those shapes that I'm not a big fan of, but the colors, the warmth is I think on point. But the you know, yeah, overall it's kind of grown on me more than at first. But I will be reinvestigating that. But yeah, this like that. I definitely like that. Obviously, the structure has, it's not a structure yet, it's just floating fabric, but we're getting there. We'll get there. Wanted to remark on that. And this is still looking absolutely gorgeous as well. Our little walk over here. Good stuff. Animals are doing alright, everyone's doing okay, guests are happy. Yeah, see, it's just like, don't think we have. We recently went through and checked for like inbreeding related issues and things like that. I guess what I could do is do another check on that, but I feel like we did it pretty recently. In terms of not inbreeding, just inbreeding, but like getting contraceptives out there. Like I'm sure, I guess I could go ahead and put these guys on contraceptives. Put you on contraceptives, sure. I don't think the capuchin need to be on. I can't remember if they will. I guess there is a risk of inbreeding. Right, let's go ahead and check with the capuchin as they are. We'll keep an eye out. I can't remember because again, we were and kind of still are having issues with keeping the capuchin coming. Pun not intended that time. Warthogs. Honestly, I feel like I should release a bunch of them. Release a bunch of them. Oh, so many warthogs. Sure, let's do that. Let's get all of you. So we have our patriarch, if you will, or alpha male, and we have a bunch of females. Yeah, we'll be fine. Let's go ahead and send. Well, release you all to the wild. Done. You don't get a lot of conservation credits off of warthogs outside of when we do a streamed raid session, which again is in the books for sometime in the near future. I think we'll need one in the very near future. All right, what else do we have over here? These guys are good. These guys are good as they are. The dingoes are fine. Or like they don't. I mean, I guess eventually there could be like the potential of inbreeding, but that's only if they this game is beautiful. That's only if they are like if the whole alpha thing becomes a situation, or like if the wrong male and female become the wrong alpha pair, as it were. Look at that balloon flying away, all on its lonesome. But yeah, so that we'll get notifications and we'll be able to fix that differently. We don't have to put them on contraceptives. I know it's easy to just like click the button and just put them on contraceptives, but Rather not if I don't have to. Oh man. Nice to just kind of appreciate the visuals in this game sometimes. It's like just sit back and look at that. That balloon is entertaining me thoroughly, just watching it float away. Alright, good stuff. I love these like misty mornings and whatnot. Oh, rains go. Just beautiful game. Absolutely gorgeous. We got these guys. A bunch of them are in the trade center, so that's fine. Yeah, they're okay. Got a problem over here. What we can do about it? Many eastern brown snakes. We gotta keep who? Ajij or Sipta should stay. Sipta and Lastari should stay. Everybody else can go. Sipta, Lastari stay. Everybody else to the trade center. Cool. These guys were not having a good time. We're not having a good time. Alright, let's go ahead and check what else we have over here. You guys are fine. In the trade center, these guys are fine. Roaches will soon maybe need some talking about, but they're fine for now. We go eastern brown snakes, picking up where we left off. Go ahead and get these guys on contraceptives. There we go. We're fine over here. We're fine over here. The jaguars, right? I gotta check in on the jaguars. Koalas. Let's go ahead and make sure that these guys. Fine. We might need a new koala soon. At least we have a couple of babies here. Ooh, 2 of you. Nice. I love this coat that they get. Very interesting look behind you. Very interesting look. Very, very, very standout. Same question as I was asking about the zebra earlier here. Well, good hits. A lot of llamas. I think the zebras are all okay. We haven't had any issues yet in a while. I think we're okay for the most part. These guys are not having a good time. The red-eyed blue frogs. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, I think we're fine for the most part. We'll keep our eyes out for more warnings down the line. As we're down here. Titan beetles need some adjusting as well. Alright, cool. So, Titan beetles. Take a look at your options here. Guess Marco, or you know what, no, Juan and Carla should stay. Juan and Carla should stay. So, Carla and Juan, where are you? There you are. Everybody else to the trade center. Cool. Easily solved. And of course the frogs over here as well. We're not having a pleasant time. Go ahead and sort this out. Any of the females can stay, and really any of the males as well. Wow, that is a lot of gold rank. Oh my god. Yikes. Trying to find a younger pairing then. We've got our younger male and our younger female. Right. Everybody except for Fernando and Luisa. To the trade center. Cool. That should be good. They were all gold rank. They were all gold rank. Low welfare over here. I assume you just had some offspring. It's been pointed out to me that, yeah, I guess they never grow from being a baby to being an adult. I don't remember that. For some reason. Of course, now our trade center is full. And watch, when I empty it, we're going to have animals die and empty out, and then I'm going to have to buy that which I've gotten rid of. Let's see here real quick. I really don't like this whole limit thing. Okay, confirm that for now. Trying to bait the game. There we go, done. Cool. We're done. Done. But folks, I think apart from being done with that, I think we are also just kind of done with the session today. things are running pretty smoothly. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the various ideas I put forth. Lots of things to consider and think about. At the end, ultimately, we did end up getting a good bit of management done today. A lot of, I guess, oh, what's the term? Forgetting it now. Contraceptives were assigned and things like that, so that's good. We had a little bit of trading as well, and releasing a bunch of warthogs. I think that was urgently needed. So it did end up working out. Though again, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's noticed that it's kind of like we kind of go from issue to issue, especially because we're in medium difficulty. We don't really need to go in and adjust anything. Then again, at the flip side, it is nice to kind of just go in and watch the animals, not necessarily have to be doing something all the time. It's fun to just kind of chill with the animals too. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm kind of like cool either way, but obviously, and as always, I would love to hear your opinions. I would love to, I guess, read your opinions as the case might be. Folks, hope you had a good time. If you did, you know what to do. Let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. As always, it makes a massive difference in how I approach content on the channel, what I do more or less of, how I go about doing it. Y'all know the drill by now. I would also, of course, and as always, like to thank all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting this channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.